Hey everyone, welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into the one thing, literally the one thing that completely separates the dreamers from the doers. I mean, picture this for a second. You're standing right on the edge of a massive drop. Your heart's pounding, your palms are sweaty, and there's just this huge, infinite unknown staring right back at you. Well, that intense, stomach-dropping feeling, that is exactly what it feels like to launch into the business world. So, today, we're going to unpack the single most defining moment in any successful journey, the art of taking risks. We'll discover why taking a calculated leap is absolutely every entrepreneur's greatest and honestly most necessary decision.
Every successful business exists because someone was brave enough to take a risk when others were afraid. Just let that sink in for a second. This isn't just some cheesy motivational poster you'd hang in an office. It is the absolute foundation of literally every single enterprise that has ever changed the world. You know, when we look at these massive, monumental successes, we usually just see the finish line, right? We see the slick branding, the crazy revenue, and the global reach. But what we don't see is that quiet, terrifying moment of inception. We don't see the moment someone had to look fear dead in the eye, realize everyone else was running the other way, and decide to step forward anyway. Bravery, right in the face of absolute fear, is where every single business story actually begins.
Okay, let's dive into Section 3, the courage to begin. Because, as the saying goes, absolutely nothing grows in your comfort zone.
Moving right along to Section 4, facing the fear. So what exactly is it that holds most people back from finding that courage? Well, every creator basically hits this ultimate crossroads. Look, if starting a business just required a good idea, everyone would do it, right? But on one side of this crossroad, you've got the fear of failure. This is that mindset that looks at the unknown and just sees a massive threat. It's that annoying little voice in your head going, what if I lose all my money? What if everyone laughs at me? And honestly, it's the exact force that stops people dead in their tracks, totally preventing them from ever achieving their dreams. But on the flip side, we have the entrepreneurial mindset. Now, this mindset doesn't just magically erase fear. Actually, it completely redefines it. Instead of seeing a dark, scary void, the entrepreneur sees a blank canvas. They look at uncertainty and see the exact environment where real growth happens. Think about it. If the path was 100% guaranteed, there'd be no real reward at the end. For an entrepreneur, uncertainty isn't a roadblock at all. It's the exact opportunity they're hunting for. This brings us to Section 6, the calculated risk. Because guys, there is a massive, massive difference between leaping blindly and leaping with a solid strategy. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it breaks this whole concept down. We have this super romanticized version of the entrepreneur in our heads, right? You know, the lone wolf who just throws caution to the wind and bets the farm on a crazy whim. But the reality? Successful entrepreneurs are not thrill seekers. They are risk managers. On one hand, you have reckless risk. That's your pure gambling, acting on impulse, riding a wave of emotion without any grounding in reality. It's basically closing your eyes and swinging a bat in the dark. But on the other hand, we have the calculated risk. Notice the key differences here. Preparing, researching, making informed decisions. Successful founders literally never just gamble. They do their homework, they obsess over the market, and they mitigate as much of the danger as humanly possible before they even think about making their move.
So how do you actually execute this in the real world? It basically boils down to 4 very specific steps. Step 1, research. This is where you obsessively gather every single piece of data you can get your hands on. Step 2, prepare. You build out your safety nets, you relentlessly refine your product, and you arm yourself with knowledge. Step 3, face uncertainty. Look, even with absolute world-class preparation, there are still going to be unknowns. You just have to step into that void with confidence. And finally, step 4, learn from failures. I cannot stress this enough. Failure is not the opposite of success, it's just a vital part of the process. Every time a calculated risk doesn't pan out perfectly, a great entrepreneur extracts the data, learns from the misstep, and applies it to the very next venture. Honestly, preparation is exactly how we domesticate the unknown.
Which brings us to a really pivotal question. And I actually want you to ask yourself this right now as you're watching this explainer. How do successful founders actually turn uncertainty into opportunity? We've talked a lot about the theory, right? The research, the mindset, the courage. But how does this grand cinematic concept actually translate into real-world application? How do regular, everyday people harness this exact process to build literal empires? Let's explore that in Section 10, Lessons from the Greats. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what we're talking about. Think about the greats for a second. The principles we're discussing here today aren't just some abstract pie-in-the-sky ideas. They are the exact step-by-step blueprints used by the industry titans who have completely reshaped our modern world. Take Brian Chesky and Joe Gebbia when they started Airbnb. They were so broke, they famously sold novelty cereal boxes during an election year just to scrape together funds for their unproven idea.
Talk about wild. They had to step way out of their comfort zones, face massive uncertainty, and navigate an ocean of early rejections. But because their risks were calculated, because they researched, prepared, and learned from every single stumble, they didn't just change their own lives. They revolutionized the entire global hospitality industry. They proved, without a doubt, that the bold, calculated risk is the ultimate catalyst for changing the world.
Let's move into Section 12, Believe in Your Vision. Now let's shift the focus directly back to your own journey.
So the crucial point is really what you do next. Here is your action plan going forward. First up, you have to make the conscious choice to step outside your comfort zone. I promise you, growth is never going to happen while you're just standing still. Second, you absolutely must trust your preparation. If you've done the deep research and put in the grueling hard work, you have to trust that strong foundation you've built. Remember, you're not leaping blindly here. And third, above all else, believe in your vision. When that deep uncertainty inevitably sets in and the critics start getting really loud, your unwavering belief in what you are building is quite literally the only compass that's going to guide you through the storm.
And I want you to remember this. The biggest risk in life is never taking one. Your future changes the moment you decide to believe in yourself. If you spend your entire life avoiding risk, running from failure, and just staying safely tucked away within the bounds of what is guaranteed, you're risking something so much worse. You risk looking back on a life of unfulfilled potential. But the very second you decide to truly believe in yourself, the exact moment you choose courage over comfort, the entire trajectory of your future changes forever.
Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. And I want to challenge you to step into the unknown today. Think about it. What calculated risk are you going to take tomorrow? My name is Khubaib Orakzai. My wallah is business. Great opportunities belong to those who have the courage to take calculated risks.